Welcome back to the Legal Smith Unleashed. I'm attorney Kurt Smith. I'm here with paralegal extraordinaire Dylan Smith, and we're talking a little bit today about the concept of revenge.
Revenge.
They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but listen, revenge is something that you've really got to plan out and be ready to dish out when the opportunity serves itself. And, what's the most important aspect of revenge?
You tell me.
Whatever it is you're doing, the strike back, it has to land.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it doesn't land, that's like two against you, right? And now what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So probably
embarrass yourself twice.
Exactly,
yeah.
Right? So probably my favorite revenge story, if I have to think about it. I was traveling around Europe, okay, and spent some time in Saint-Quentin, France. Okay, otherwise pronounced as San Quentin for those of us in here in America, but they say Saint-Quentin. And had some friends over there, staying in hostel-like conditions, and we were at a friend's house and walking by this friend's outside pool, and a friend of mine, as I'm walking by, I was a little svelter back in the day, a friend of mine kind of bends down, grabs me under my knees, and flips me over into the outside pool.
Are you kidding me?
No, and it's like, it's like probably 55 degrees out, right? And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And there's people around, people that I know, and it's kind of a very embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
very
it was
nice of your friend.
Not very nice, but it was an above ground pool. So I mean, the sight of that was kind of like it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And boy, was I angry, right? I mean, I was really, really angry.
I can imagine.
That he did that, because I'm fully clothed, all my stuff, I'm just now sopping wet, and I've got to make my way home in these conditions. And, I wasn't the extremely successful attorney back then that I was now. And so, I was traveling by whatever means I could, hiking or backpacking or bicycling or whatever the case may be.
I'm sure that was a lot of fun, being sopping wet and freezing.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. And the only thing I could think about was, I've got to get this guy back.
Totally.
But I don't know how to do it, right? Because this guy lived across town, and I don't see him all that often, and how are we going to do it? So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to a roommate of mine, and we're figuring out. I'm saying, look, we got to get this guy back, and the guy's like, he looks at me, he's like, I'm really tired of hearing about what you're going to do to get this guy back. If you're going to do something, do something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, let's go. So, I live kind of on the outskirts of town, and this guy lived pretty much center of the town. And in this town, as in many towns, there was a fountain. And so we made our way down to the fountain. I think we went on bike. And so we ride our bike down to the fountain. It's about midnight. And we brought with us the biggest, like, spaghetti pots that we could find, right? And we go to the fountain, and we dip our pots and fill the pots with this moldy, mossy water that's in the fountain, and they live just half a block down from the fountain. So we go down to the place where they live, and please don't ask me the details of this, because it's been 30 plus years, and I don't know how it happened, because they had one of those doors like that. It's like an apartment complex, and it locks, and you have to buzz to get in. But somehow at midnight we were able to get in, and these guys were, I'm guessing, dead asleep, right? And I've got to break into their apartment, which is a second floor apartment. It was a kind of a tall second floor apartment. Okay, again, please, the nature of what I'm doing here doesn't sound really doable, but we get up to their story, and they're kind of on the end of the building, and I go to the hallway end of the building, and there's a window there, and I open the window, and I scale the outside of the apartment to their kitchen window, and I'm able to jimmy the window open and slide through. And this is a kitchen window, kind of like a bathroom window. It's a really small window, not like a big, plate glass window or whatever. It's not a bay window for sure. It's a very small window. And so I'm sneaking through at midnight, basically breaking and entering into this guy's house. And apparently they forgot to do the dishes that day. And so I'm trying not to smash over the bowls and dishes and cups and forks.
Spry as a cat.
So, yeah. I mean, the reflexes that I possessed at that time were extremely great. So I make my way in. I go to the door. I open the door to this apartment, and we sneak in, and it's got to be 1 a.m. now, with this moldy, stinky water from the fountain, and flip this guy's lights on, and just douse this guy mid sleep, and he's just bolts up out of bed, just that's the one.
Yeah.
and we ran like the Dickens, and we found our bikes, and we rode back across town. And it was a really great revenge.
Yes.
Now, as I think about it now, scaling the outside of a building for this, I could have fallen to my death, right?
You could have. 12 feet.
No, it was big. It was much bigger than 12 feet. I had to be 25 feet.
You'd at least sprain an ankle if you fell.
Listen,
that is
these nails,
dangerous.
you don't get nails
like
like
Tom
this.
Cruise in Mission Impossible 2, scaling the cliffside, barely making it.
No, not the cliffside. This is the
right. I get it. It's
the building,
yeah.
right? It's the building. I didn't have the gloves.
Fine, it's Ghost Protocol.
That's the one. Thank you. I don't want to be the mountain climber. I want to be the Ghost Protocol guy. But my gloves didn't fit. I didn't have gloves, but I still made it inside. I don't know a lot of people that can tell a story like that. I can tell a story like that. I don't know a lot of people that can tell a story like that. But when I think back about it now, if I were to try that today, boy, I doubt that the same result would have happened, right? I may have ended up, on my back in the little atrium area.
Yes.
In this apartment complex, ambulance called, and this guy standing over going, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, revenge.
But you didn't. You got your revenge.
I got my revenge.
I'm guessing it was delicious.
Oh, it was scrumptious. Now, I lost a pot.
Well,
okay. I didn't get to bring my pot back.
No.
But
at that point, you're abandoning the pot.
The pots were abandoned. That's correct. So, there we go. So, any good revenge stories that you've had similar?
Nothing as good as that, but that is a pretty good... Look, you got thrown into the above ground pool.
Right.
He got a stinky, disgusting, moldy, probably infected pot of water thrown directly on his face in the middle of the night.
I'm guessing he has Lyme disease at this point that he'll never recover from.
No, well, I'm guessing he never threw you in a pool again.
No. So, great story. I'm glad you have such excellent revenge stories as well.
Well, I like to get all my revenge stories in court. I don't know about you.
Okay, well, we were in court not too long ago, and there was another attorney there that decided to try and get revenge. And as the story goes, we had a trial with this particular attorney. I won't mention any names, but she's about 3.5 feet tall. Looks like a banker from Gringotts.
Oh,
right.
I was gonna go Fiona from Shrek.
No, that would be a much taller ogre. This is more of a troll.
Okay.
From Gringotts Bank.
Where's she from? Where's the troll from? Gringotts.
Well, it's not a troll. No, it's a troll. Oh, it is a troll.
It was a troll.
Yeah, not an ogre. It's a troll.
Was it a troll or was it not a troll?
It was a troll.
Okay.
It's a troll, yeah.
Okay.
And so I think she worked at Gringotts, but I'm not sure if that's the name of the firm or not. But anyway, we go and we have this trial, and we meet in kind of a little pre-room, and we're discussing our case and if there's any chance that we can settle the case. And I went in and I said, look, I think it's probably a good idea if we just settle this thing, and here's how we can do it, and here's how, it'll hurt the least for both of our clients, and maybe we ought to do this. And the lady looks at me and she's like, well, here's why I'm going to win outright. And I'm like, that's what you're saying now is never going to happen, okay? I'm not saying I'm the best attorney in the world.
Kind of.
No, I
kind
didn't
of saying that.
I did not say that.
You were implying that.
She may have inferred that.
You were at least planting the thought in her mind.
Okay, yeah, that may be true. I'm not saying I'm the best attorney in the world, but your client has violated every single order that the court has given. Mm. And not only did she violate the orders, like one time, she did multiple times. She had a pattern in practice for over a year of keeping dad away from his kid. And all he wanted to do was see the kid. And she's like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And he's like, well, can I have the kid for the weekend? No, I'm not going to let you do that. Can I see the kid, with you, supervised? No, I'm not going to let you do that. How about talk to him on the phone? No, I'm not going to let you do that. Prior to this, she had gotten permission to move out of state. And when dad finally asked so many times that she's feeling the pressure, she tells him, well, too late, I've already moved, right? Okay. But this was over the course of like a year, right? So
meanwhile, he's got no interaction with his kid.
Zero interaction. And this guy's a guy that when he hears the word no, he's kind of like a snail that if you put a little salt on him, right, and they shrink back into their shell, right? And that was this guy. Every time he heard the word no, he'd shrink back into his shell, and he wouldn't talk to mom again for another 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then he'd ask again, and she'd say no, and he'd be like, why not? And she's like, well, I haven't even heard from her for 6 weeks. It's like, well, yeah, but that's because you poured salt on me and I was hiding in my shell. Right. And she's like, well, that's not how you do that. You're supposed to ask every day until I say yes, right? Which isn't really how it works, but that's in her mind how it works. So I'm telling the lady, look, you've got zero shot. And not only did mom violate, because there's actually an active order in place, not only was mom violating the order, she violated the law, different laws, whether knowingly or unknowingly, right? She's in total violation of everything, and we've got a judge who's not going to stand for it.
Right.
So I'm offering you this laurel branch, right? Yeah. Let's just do this, and this way everybody kind of wins.
Yeah.
But if you make me go to court, things might not turn out very well for you. And she looks at me and she's like, well, no, here's what's going to happen. Here's why I shall win. And I'm
afraid your account is closed.
And I'm looking at her going, like you're absolutely crazy. That's not going to happen. But if you force my hand, we'll go to trial. And she goes, okay, let's go to trial. So we go into the trial, and I put my case on, and dad is giving his rendition of what's happening. And as he's explaining everything, the judge is looking like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize things were this bad. And so finally, dad's done, and we get mom up on the stand, and we start asking mom the questions. And as mom's kind of going, the judge interrupts, and she's like, hang on. Are you really putting on a case? She's asking the troll now. Are you really putting on a case where mom has violated every order that I've given, and she violated some laws that weren't applicable at the time but applied later, and now you're coming back and saying, here's why we should win? Like I should give everything to your client? Is that really your case? And the troll was like, well, yes, that's how it is. And so the judge is like, you do what you want to do, but I don't see it, right? I mean, maybe you guys ought to go out in the hall and try and figure this out. And I said, well, Judge, we've tried to go out in the hall, but apparently my account was closed by the Gringotts, what are they again? Trolls.
And
so
goblins.
Goblins. Yeah, thank you. And so we weren't able to work anything out. The judge is like, hey, Miss Goblin, do you want to work this out? She's like, no, I'm perfectly comfortable moving forward with trial. And so we're going with trial, and I'm looking at the judge, just watching her shake her head and roll her eyes, and like, and the goblin's not reading the room, right?
Oh.
The goblin is sitting there going, well.
The goblin is confused that the judge is not responding in the way that she had imagined.
There's some kind of a Dungeons and Dragons spell that makes the goblin not quite understand what's going on here. So at the end of the case, the judge is like, look, I'm going to give you my decision later, okay? I'm not going to do it now. And for those of you at home, a lot of times the judges do that when they don't want to totally embarrass the other side. And so, or where they think there might be a ruckus of some kind. And so they say, let me render my decision later. And so she leaves, and we all go home, and I go home feeling very good about myself and my legal skills. And I had a meeting with my client, and I said, look, you did very well. He said, well, why didn't the judge rule in our favor? I said, don't worry, she's going to rule in our favor, hopefully soon. I can't promise, but if I was reading the tea leaves correctly, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So we go home, and about a week later, the judge had set a trial or a follow-up hearing for a week later, and the day before that hearing, she issues a written decision. I've ruled in Dad's favor, but I'm going to come out with a really detailed order as to why I'm ruling in Dad's favor, and there we go. Okay,
fair enough. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. Another stellar victory for Smith Legal Group. So where does the revenge come in?
I'm sure the goblin's going to come back for more.
Oh, the goblin's not happy. The goblin is feeling a little slighted. And so we've actually got to come back.
Go ahead.
Thank you. We've got to come back. And what was the issue we're coming back for? Oh, school.
Yeah.
School choice. Yeah. You happened to be there that time.
I picked up on the case as you were as I was following along with the story.
So, well, when there's a goblin involved, how can you not?
I know exactly who the goblin is,
Okay.
and I'd love to tell the audience.
And I will just keep the goblin's identity a secret for reasons.
Respect the goblin's privacy.
Exactly.
Moving forward.
So we go back on a school choice issue, because now Mom says, well, I lost, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the kid in school with me. And Dad's like, well, I don't want that to happen. I would like the kid to go to school at the better school, and our schools are kind of close to each other, but I have the better school. Why don't we just put the kid in school by me? And Mom says, well, I don't have to do that. I get to do what I want.
Yeah.
And so Dad calls, and he's like, hey, I thought you said we won. And I'm like, well, we did. And he goes, well, Mom is just acting like she can do whatever she wants to do with the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we file a motion, an emergency motion to get in, because look, it's now June, right? We're in June. School starts in August.
Clock's ticking.
The way this particular statute works, I've got to get in front of the judge, let the judge know there's a problem, and then the judge has to hold a trial.
Yeah.
And all that has to happen before school starts. And there's just not that much time. The wheels of justice work slowly in Clark County Family Court.
They do.
And so
they run about 12 hours slow.
So we put this emergency motion, and we get in front of the judge. And my motion is, hey, Judge, you gave this order, and now Mom's just kind of doing whatever she wants. And I get it, and Mom's moved across town somewhere, so she wants to put the kid in school by her. But the law says we have to do it this way. And so we have to have this trial. So please schedule a trial. And by the way, here's why Dad thinks he should win. But there we go. And so I'm feeling, again, pretty good about myself, because I'm dealing with a troll, and the troll,
Goblin.
Goblin, that's right. Dealing with not a full-grown mountain troll.
No,
a
trolls are
goblin.
big. Goblins are little.
Little goblin. So I'm dealing with this little goblin, and who is a little snooty for my taste. But she comes back and she's like, well, and this is again on an order shortening time, okay, which means that the court set the hearing for way out in advance, and I had to get convince the judge to really reel it up within the next couple weeks. And as a result of that, the other side has the ability to file things late or not file things at all. They can just come in and orally argue. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that, there's rules to court, right?
Yeah.
And if I want to do something in court, I've got to file a written motion and explain everything I want to do. The other side has to file a written opposition, explain everything they want to do. I get to do a reply in case they brought up some goofy issue I wasn't expecting, or kind of give the judge an answer as to why my way is better than their way. And then we go meet in front of the judge. But on an order shortening time, those rules are kind of relaxed because it's quicker than it should be.
Yeah.
So we go in on this order shortening time, and I happen to be working late the night before, and I pull up this case just in case something happened. And what do you know? The goblin filed an opposition. And I'm reading this opposition, and what the opposition says is, not only should mom win, not only should dad lose, but I want you to sanction Kurt Smith, right? Because and I don't know what what did I do that was so incorrect, right?
Well, her argument was that you made her do work.
Oh, that's right. It was an order shortening time. So she had to work harder than she wanted to. Right,
and she lost precious time.
And that's true. That's true. And so, but actually, there was also an order that was put in, and her claim was that there were errors in the order. Now, I saw that, and I'm horrified because I take pride in my work. I don't want there to be errors in the order,
right,
or the proposed order at least. And so I go out and I take a look at the proposed order, and I'm horrified, because the errors that she claimed were in there, which I was like, silly goblin, that can't be true. It was true, right?
Oh,
and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So the good news is I saw it, and I submitted what's called an errata, or a mulligan, if you will, right? And said, hey, Judge, I noticed there was this error in the order, the proposed order. Please accept my apology. Here's what it should have said. Okay. So I file that
Problem
right away.
solved.
Well, we would hope, right? So I put in my errata, and then I file a full-blown reply. I've got to stay up till 2 a.m. doing this reply, and I put in the reply. And so now we get in front of the judge the next day, and here is me and the goblin and our clients and the judge. And, we go in, and we're supposed to be in at one time, but we end up going in at a much later time. And the marshal comes out, and he's like, hey, by the way, I just wanted to let you know, judge is trying to read all this stuff, so just hang tight. And so we hang tight for a little while, and then we get back in, and the judge starts reading. Now, I think everything's fine, right? Because there was an error, obviously, but the error was corrected. So we get in, and the judge says, okay, well, what do we want to do here? And I said, well, Judge, I filed the motion. Let me give you my argument. She goes, well, I actually know your argument. Okay? It's a pretty good argument. Okay. So why don't I just hear from the other side? Because we're running behind now. I'll just hear from the other side. And I'm like, well, that's not really protocol. And in my mind, I had set out this perfect scenario where I was going to give this brilliant and beautiful speech, and you were going to be wowed, and then the other side was going to be flabbergasted and flummoxed and not be able to get their words out. And what you are now doing is stymieing my creative process, right? My muse is trying to speak, and you're not allowing that to happen. And I wanted to say that to the judge, but instead what I said is, okay, Judge, that's fine. And so the other side gets up and they go, Your Honor, I want to let you know that not only should my client win, and not only is his client a terrible human being, but there is another villain here in the courtroom that you ought to be aware of, and his name is Kurt Smith. And then she goes into what an extremely horrible human being I am. Okay,
Jeez.
and I'm saying, and this is not like a, by the way, he's bad and go ahead. This is I mean, she had this 10-minute soliloquy of the horrors of what it is like to live in a world where Kurt Smith exists, right? And I'm sitting there going, well, this doesn't sound very nice, right? I think I'm a nice guy. I mean, I'm not nice when I win, but I think I'm a fairly nice guy. And I'm hearing otherwise. Like the entire time, 10 minutes, we're going in, and I'm like, boy, I'm learning things about myself I didn't know. I feel horrible about being me. And so I'm listening to this lady, and I'm watching for the judge's reaction. The judge is being very stoic, and I'm looking, and I'm like. She goes, okay, finally the troll finishes, she sits down, and I said, troll again, it's a goblin.
It's goblin.
And the goblin sits down. You could hardly tell because standing and sitting is about the same height, but now it's my turn, and I get up and I go, Judge, look, I appreciate the courts wanting to speed things up and kind of eliminate part one, act one, and then go straight to act two, and then come to act three. I wish you had let me give my act one, because had you done so, I would have given a Shakespearean apology that it was even more detailed than the errata that was submitted. It would have been flowery, it would have been brilliant, and you would have left a little tear in your eye, a little verklempt, thinking what a great guy this is. And then perhaps this 10-minute soliloquy on why Kurt Smith is such a horrible human being would not have had the impact that I fear it may have had, because quite frankly, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me, in the words of Stuart Smalley. So I'm sitting there going, Judge, look, here's the deal. I agree with the goblin. I made a mistake. But let she who has not made a mistake cast the first stone, Your Honor. Everybody here has made a mistake, and instead of standing up here and telling you why I didn't make a mistake, I will point to the court that I filed an errata. That's a mulligan. I get a do-over on that. So I filed my errata, and so the mere request for these sanctions, while there's no real rule specified, it sounds like one of these Rule 11 sanctions. And if it is, sanctions request, if it is, let me explain why that doesn't work here, okay? Rule 11 means you've got to file this in a completely separate motion. Did the goblin do that? No, she did not. Rule 11 means you've got to give me 21 days advance notice to correct my error. And if I do that, there's no sanctions. And while I wasn't given that 21 days, I was notified of the error, and I corrected it through my errata. So had there been this provision, I still would win. So there should be no sanctions here. Please let the goblin know that this is not a good idea. And the goblin gets up, and the goblin is just beside herself with fury, right?
Yes.
And she stands up. I think she was standing up. It's hard, again, hard to tell with the height thing, but she stands up and she says, Your Honor, I feel I was called stupid, and I am not a stupid goblin. And, she explains to the judge, I know exactly what Rule 11 is. I specifically didn't use Rule 11. I told the judge about these other things, and the judge can do this on her own. And here's some rules why that might apply. And so I get my last crack, and I said, Judge, just very quickly, those rules don't apply. And by the way, if she wants to do that, this is not the proper forum. There's another forum she can do that in. So let's not worry about these things. Let's just rule on the motion. And so finally the judge is like, wow, that was a lot of words for kind of a simple case today, because we're not going to really do anything today. We're going to set this for trial.
Yeah.
And I read your motion, Mr. Smith, and it was spot on. So yes, please go ahead and we'll set the trial, and there we go, and we can get this done before school gets going. And as for request for sanctions number 1, Ms. Goblin, no. Request for sanctions number 1 doesn't apply. Is a nice try, but it doesn't apply. I find that the rule was met. And for request numbers 2 and 3, I'll review those later and I'll make a decision, but I don't think so. And so,
sorry, Goblin.
Sorry, Goblin was really the crux of the situation. And so, as I reflected after court, and I'm sitting there going, why would somebody do this? I mean, not only did we hear about what a horrible person I was, but we heard about the Goblin's childhood, and the Goblin's love for work, and the Goblin's Mama Goblin, and I'm sitting there going, oh, wow. I mean, none of this stuff was in the opposition that the Goblin filed.
Yeah.
And we call that in the industry, that's called trial by ambush, okay? When you come in and you argue completely separate things than the things that you had put in writing. And I let the court know that wasn't appropriate, and nor was it appreciated. I wasn't expecting a trial by ambush today. And the judge agreed.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the Goblin left red-faced, huffing and puffing, and not getting the satisfaction that she wanted. The revenge in this particular case was a story of revenge that went awry,
yes.
Right?
It went very sideways.
She didn't get the revenge that she wanted, and it would have been great had she been forced the court to, or not forced, but gotten the court to rule that I should have to pay $20,000 out of my pocket, but it didn't happen. And I'm trying to think why she would do that, because it really wasn't that big a deal what had happened. And as I thought, I'm like, this is because I wanted trial.
Total. There's no other explanation.
There really is no. This isn't this goofy little issue that
sore
happened.
Loser.
It was
Goblin's a sore loser.
Never trust a goblin. That's really the moral of the story.
I never do.
So, again, whether it's in the middle of France or whether it's in the courtroom, look, there are opportunities for revenge, but the revenge has to be number 1, well thought out, well planned out. Number 2, well supported, right? I mean, if I had gone down, biking my little bike with my spaghetti pot and hadn't been able to get in the building,
it'd been pretty embarrassing.
It would have been mortifying, because now my buddy's going to tell all, hey, you know what happened last night? We tried to break into your apartment, it didn't work out, right? And now I'm embarrassed twice, but somehow it worked out. These kind of things happen in court, and this is something, I mean, again, I harp on this a lot. People ask me all the time, do I need an attorney when you go to court? Well, I don't know. Do you know every single rule? Do you know all the ways that people can get back at you? Do you know that there's rules that you're going to have to pay them money just because you said something incorrect? Do you know all these things? Because if you don't, then it's probably not a good idea going in by yourself, right?
Totally.
If you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the training, you may not do as well as you want to. There are forms out there that people can fill out and go, I can just do this myself, right? And they fill them out and they put it in, and they come to my office later and they go, hey, I filled out this form and the judge totally ruled against me. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you said you were a great parent and your focus was on education, and you wrote this with a crayon and the words were misspelled, right? Why would you think the judge would trust you with the education of the child? And that's the part that people don't understand. But the other part about this case is that the attorney really did her client a disservice, because now what the judge is going to be thinking about is, I can't believe that attorney of this client that violated all the rules, right? That broke the law, and then came in asking for me for a favor through an attorney who was given the opportunity to settle the case. Now, when opposing counsel comes in and asks for the exact relief that the law permits, you're going to come in with a sledgehammer and try swinging things. Wow, you're not a very nice person, right? And that kind of ruins the credibility of your counsel. So,
it does, and unfortunately poisons the judge against you too, a little bit.
Against me?
No, against you as the client, that your attorney.
Okay, so
went in and
look, because what a lot of people don't understand, the client's in charge, right? The attorney is supposed to go to the client and go, hey, by the way, I've got this wild card here, right? It may not work, but if it does, you get $20,000.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you're going to look like a big schmo.
Yeah.
And so the correct question in that situation, if the attorney's presenting that to you, what's the correct question?
I'm not doing your wild card gamble.
The question is, what are the odds of you winning?
Sure. And if you're the same lawyer that I just had go into trial and got absolutely smashed, lost custody, I went in with primary, I went out with joint, like everything you asked for you didn't get, and then you're going to allow your attorney, or not allow, maybe it was never discussed or planned on, right?
Could be,
but now, I mean, I'd be pissed. I'd be so upset.
Right. So now the client's got to deal with a 2-time loss going into a third battle, having lost twice. That's not a good look.
No.
So, looks like we're running a little bit out of time. No, we don't typically do that kind of stuff. We kind of stick to the safe bet. And by safe bet, I mean we give our clients the advice of not breaking the law, not violating all the judge's orders, and we don't go in on these risky gambits that are going to make you look like a complete schmuck in court. And if that's the kind of attorney you want, we'll see you next time on The Legal Smith Unleashed.
Happy Juneteenth.
Oh, yeah. Black ties matter.